Attention, citizens. It's time for Super Pulp Science.
This is Super Pulp Science, where we talk about how genre gets made.
Among other things.
Yeah, we were talking about other things, dear listener. I am Jim V. Kamichuk. I'm joined with my long-suffering co-host, known the world over as Chasing Artwork, but we call him Justin Curry here at the studio, and producer extraordinaire Dan Vadeboncoeur.
You seem very jovial this morning.
I'm in a pretty good mood. Maybe it's a thin mask as I do all this math. It's like to remind myself that life is still happening despite these spreadsheets.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it is. But I'm gonna put those away.
Okay.
So maybe the mask of joviality will fade. No, it's pretty good. You got here on time. We were like, oh no, it's all gonna be late. It's not gonna work. We're gonna have to rush. But here we are.
Yeah.
So I feel good. Everything's coming up Millhouse.
Yes, it is.
We cheated on you yesterday, Dan.
I was kind of shocked, actually, when I got the email from Lyndon.
Yeah.
What, they recorded?
Yeah, we had Chadwick Ginter at studio, and so we recorded. We seized our moment, and we did our best.
Yeah.
I was
Lyndon
upset as
crinkled
well. I
plastic
came in
the
to draw Gundams and was immediately set upon to be on a podcast.
Justin's
I'm
like,
here
it's
to
not Thursday.
paint.
What's going on here?
Yeah, we messed with his day. So I just, apologies all around for Lyndon for being forced to be you, for Justin to be forced to be on, and
put us all out, yeah.
But thanks to Chadwick for being a good sport. What we want to talk about today, dear listener, is we are in the aftermath of 2 back-to-back shows. We did 2 shows in 2 weekends, the Montreal Comic-Con and the Winnipeg Icon, and we have thoughts. Really, we have some thoughts.
Yeah.
The first thought, which is maybe should be the last thought. You're supposed to organize your top 10s somehow these days. I don't know how it works, but
You're supposed to come up with a show rundown.
somebody said to me, "Yeah, you are. Should we do that?
No, it's okay.
Doesn't
Go.
this qualify as a rundown?"
Well, you're supposed to write it down first.
Oh, well, you came in fast.
Okay, go.
Hot. Came in hot. Somebody who shall remain nameless asked me how old I was at the show. He was surprised at how old I was, and then and he's much younger than I am, with the crushing sigh of a veteran of many campaigns in faraway lands, he said, I don't want to do this when I'm older.
Is he another vendor?
He's an artist and a vendor, and Justin knows this person too, but he doesn't know. I didn't tell him this story yet. But I'm coupling this now with a thing that Justin said when he came in. Maybe we should talk about, he said, the fact that we're now the established booths at shows. Like, to a first-timer who comes in, they may look at the amount of space and setup and the size of the backdrop and the number of products, and they may say, one day. And that was, it's sobering and frightening to think that you're now what others are aspiring to.
Yeah,
how do we trick them out
I
of
was
that?
walking through the show floor, and I kind of stopped because this booth, and I wish I could remember the name, had just a very well-branded, very concisely set up booth, and they had a yellow and a pink tone, and they had built this perfect little storefront and had all these cut up characters on top, and it was just super well constructed and well put together. And I kind of stopped, just your booth is looks amazing, good job. And she said, oh, thanks. And then kind of looks like, you're with the Chasing Artwork guys, right? I'm like, yeah.
You didn't say, I am the Chasing Artwork.
It's oh my God, they do such great stuff. Tell them I say hey. I'm like, I will. And it's just kind of it was a little
surreal.
Right, yeah. And there was 1 or 2 other interactions where it's just I've been around at these shows long enough, and I'm now that booth that when we started coming to shows, being one day maybe we'll be like that. Are we that booth now a little bit? And
are we becoming bloated old dinosaurs lumbering towards extinction? That's the question.
Right. And what are our responsibilities as bloated old dinosaurs?
Yeah, we do have some
lumbering
responsibilities.
towards extinction?
So, speaking to that,
Well, one thing I'll say in response to the question and to the conversation you had with that person saying, I don't want to do this forever, you haven't been doing this forever.
Yeah.
You've led a full life full of all kinds of other things. Like, when did you actually start doing this? Like 10 years ago?
started taking it really seriously in about 2006.
Yeah,
but
so
I
almost
still
20
had
years. But still, like, you have, like, you had
But
a
I
career
spent
as
10
a teacher.
years
Right. So it's not like you just decided to do that. And that person may not be doing that in 10 years. Like, it's not,
Okay,
I don't know that it's necessarily a thing you can do over the course of a
2 points
career.
there. What I said to them was, this isn't the only thing I do.
Right.
This is just one of the things that I do. And that's because his underlying point was, you always seem like you're having such a good time at these shows, and I find them to be such a grind lately.
What the heck? We have
What's
the
the
best job on the planet.
That's
Who
right.
is this curmudgeon?
Just wait till I tell you. But that's what I said. I said, because this isn't the only thing I'm doing, I have other stuff that I've got going on that maybe that variety, a change is as good as a rest, they say. But speaking to the person, I had a very similar interaction as someone who came over, and they prefaced this. My wife got a big kick out of this story. A person walked up to the booth and said, I've been thinking about how to ask this question for a while. This was late on a Saturday. And I've decided there's no way that I can ask the question that doesn't come across rude at the beginning of the question unless I preface it by explaining how I've been thinking about it.
Okay.
Right? And I said, okay. And they said, well, this is my work over here. And they pointed to it. And you can see that I do manga, anime. We're at an anime convention. I'm doing what the people are here for. You aren't.
You, sir.
You, sir, aren't. But why do you have so many customers and I don't? Like, they just said,
Good question.
Yeah.
right? And I said to them, well, look how old I am. I've been doing this for a long time. So while you're seeing this steady stream of people, you don't know how many of them are regulars. That took me years to build the confidence that I would show up again, that my work was of a quality they appreciated, and that they could return. That, I explained 80% of our revenue comes from 20% of our repeat customers.
And this person was a bit newer to the game.
And they were new. I said, I'm 20 years older than you. And you're already ahead of where I was at that time. So,
But also,
you'll
I
be
would
okay.
say, you're different. You both are very different in that. I was walking around. We're talking about Icon, right? This is the anime convention. And I'm walking around there, and anime is not my thing. But I know that, obviously most people are there for that. But at the same time, I see so many anime-themed artists and work that look very similar. They look very, very similar. So it's hard for me as kind of an outsider to tell the difference between all this stuff.
It's almost like
you
a
guys-
Marvel or DC house style.
Exactly.
You recognize
Yeah,
it.
exactly. So it's the same kind of thing. But you guys stand out. You guys stand out from the crowd because you're so different and so completely not that style that it draws people to you. I think that's part of what works for you.
And I know that because of our proximity here in the studio space, I also I make sure that my compositions and my color theories are different than Justin's. Like, I also am trying not to
Copy him.
even fit into the same color space.
Right.
Oh, I don't consider
Right.
that at all. If
No,
I
I
want
know.
to use
But
colors
you
that
don't
you
have to.
use, yeah.
But you don't,
You're setting the tone here.
I'm
bud.
not.
no, but and I mean this really honestly. You don't have to, because your work, the color space of your individual work is so much more varied. I'll use 3 colors in a color space. So they really show.
You have a portfolio of your green stuff, another one of
What
your
I'm getting
blues,
at,
yeah.
right? And so it's very different. So if I have something that feels to me like, oh, that's like I've absorbed it from the desk next to me, I try to go completely the opposite. So I think that's also a reason why I don't mind being tabling next to him.
Yep.
Let me ask you as well. I don't know if I'm clocking it more, but having this conversation, this line is thrown at me more and more lately. I've been seeing your work for years. I'm finally gonna get that
Finally
piece.
gonna get some,
I'm
yeah.
finally gonna get that. Last 3 years, I've been looking at this piece. I'm gonna pull the trigger
wore
on
me
it now.
down.
Right, and that's always the joke.
Yeah.
I joke that I finally wore you down. And,
Yeah.
But all you had to do to wear him down was be there.
Be there.
Right, and show that piece every time, and sometimes it works that way because if it's a canvas, if it's a more expensive piece,
Yeah.
it takes a long time to come to that decision, right?
And
so you want to make sure that
Art as a
making the right choice.
lifestyle is not a get-rich-quick scheme.
No.
It's a get like it's like a live long, slow scheme. There are times when it peaks and valleys, and sometimes you hit it and it's like great, and you can rake it in because you just happen to be accidentally on trend, in fashion, on the zeitgeist, and present where the crowd was.
Oh my God, when that happens, it's like winning the lottery.
Yeah,
It's
it feels
amazing.
And then you say to yourself, "Oh, this is easy."
Cover your right eye and read the chart if you would.
Timing. E, F, L, E, P, T, P, L, E, P, F, L, F, L, E, P, T, P, L, F, E, T, E, L, O, P, Z, D, D, E, F, P, O, T, E, C, F, L, E, P, T, P, L, E, P, F, L, E, P, T, P, L, F, L, T, M, A, D, I, N, U, S, A. Oh, made in USA. There you go. That's one for the Economy Act.
One of the things that we talked about just before we started recording was what we wished when we were the young guns, what we wished the established professionals had provided. And I said, answers and transparency on the mistakes, and that's sort of what this show is about.
Yeah.
Right? So I've sort of we ticked one box at the very least, is we made the show because no one would give us answers, so we shared it with each other and recorded it. But then the other thing I said, which Justin was like, yeah, but you don't want to do that, was portfolio reviews.
Oh, that's a lot of work.
Right? See? Yeah.
Well, it's the same as marking and giving feedback, and it's freaking. It's the worst part of my job. I hate it. I hate it so much. I wish I didn't have to give marks at my job.
But it's
so important. It is important.
It's important,
yeah.
and I think it's important because so few people who are wanting to take artistic expression in whatever form seriously receive no permission anywhere, no feedback of quality, and no, let's call it a sense of occasion where they feel that it's okay to show their work and receive that feedback. And I know the few times that I did portfolio reviews, they were really important to me. And the few times that I had a real industry professional rip apart my work, the fact that I could survive that was really important. Like, it was over and they hated it, but man, I'm still here, and
And it got better.
And it got better. Mm-hmm. I think we would be kinder, gentler portfolio reviewers, more encouraging and less gatekeeping than the ones that I came through. And we've done portfolio reviews occasionally.
See, in my mind, the twist on this that I think we would be like that I don't think is done, and I think we'd be really good at, is rather than portfolio review, like booth review. Like, you're at a Comic-Con, you have a setup.
And Justin walks up with a clipboard, and he looks at you over his glasses, and he starts
you
making
don't want
notes.
that unprompted. But I think
Maybe
we've
the
learned a
con
lot.
could hire you.
We've learned a lot about like how to set up a booth and how to sell things at shows, and what some things that work and some things that don't. And rather than just here's a PDF of my work,
right?
I'd love to see your full setup in full swing in your full glory, and like, if this was me, what would I do different? What would I try? What, like, maybe I'd move away from, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, the attention warfare notes. Like you come back as a general of many campaigns, Justin, and you give them the attention warfare notes, like where to put the banners and how to blow the horns. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I wonder. But not everyone is in a position to want to receive that feedback.
Would you guys like charge people for it? Would that be a service?
God, no. This is what I'm saying. Like, what we wished the people who had some established, and the thing about getting a little bit established is you do have a little bit of luxury at the show, because you maybe have a helper, or you maybe have some reliable clientele who are going to come, so you can predict the numbers. It's not like such a gamble like it is when you're starting.
Yeah.
So if you have that extra time, power grows when you share it. Is there a way that we can share that without seeming like, just showing up and mansplaining someone's booth? That would be Prairie Comics Festival, whom we love, obviously, did a workshop. I believe Scotty Ford ran it, and it was about setting up your booth and things that
Perfect,
like a checklist. Of
and
things.
Scott Ford is always doing he's doing really different things. He's very like ingenious with the building of his booth. Every year, there's something different about it, and something unique that we haven't seen 100 times before.
And every year, a beautiful do-it-yourself addition so that from the front face you're like, wow, that looks so amazing, polished and professional. And then he's like, look at the back. I bought this stand and I reconfigured it to be this, that, or the other thing. And it's,
This was $15 at IKEA.
That's
now
right.
it's a 7-foot stand at my booth.
Because what I don't like is, of course, if you go to a convention provider, if we get stuff printed at Contempora, shout out to Contempora, they're pretty great for us. But if you go in there with a blank check, you can have any booth setup you want. People don't have blank checks.
Actually, most convention centers, like if you, for example, I'm doing the San Diego Comic-Con next year, and they have a entire portal where you can go and work with trade show professionals to build the booth for you.
Yeah.
So for $30,000, they will build it all for you, and you just go and they'll have it like a little store completely built, ready to go for you. And I know people have done that.
Yeah, we've known people done it. But what they all have in common is they're not there the next year.
Yeah. I'll tell you one thing that I noticed just walking around Icon when I was there was, I think we've talked about this before, the tendency of people to build a wall of prints and just have their face sticking out of a little portal in the middle of it. I saw that quite a bit. And I just feel like it just kind of cuts off, like it just creates separation between the person and the customer, and I don't really feel like I can go up to talk to that person.
But pros and cons, for introverted people, I think that's ideal.
Really?
For the the artist is introverted and doesn't want to be standing and talking all the time. I think that's probably what they like to do. And I think most of the time that comes from a lot of anime shows give you a very short little table space, 4 feet of space, and you can only go up 6-8 feet high. So the restrictions are really tight. So if you have 60 pieces of artwork to show, building from the floor up with just a little window for your face is the most efficient way to showcase all your art, especially if you're at something like Anime Expo in LA where there's hundreds of artists that are all doing that. You have to give them everything all at once as hard as you can, and that's the only way you can
everything
do it.
all at once as hard as you can. I don't know if I should write that down.
Isn't that a movie? No, wait.
Everything, everywhere, all at once.
As hard as you can was the
That's
other
the
part
sequel.
of that title.
That's right. Yeah. But yeah, and then I think there's just there's a lot of artists that we always say stand up, acknowledge everybody, but that's not everybody at a Comic-Con is built that way.
Let's just go right on the record as saying every time we say we think it's important for you to be the face of your booth, if you are an extrovert or can summon up some extrovert powers, then do that. If you're not, you'll be so destroyed by that effort that you won't have anything left.
But what I'm trying to say is that isn't that a necessary part of this, being extroverted? Isn't that you need to be able to approach people, to be able to make eye contact with people, to speak to them, to smile at them? I'm not seeing a lot of that at these places. I'm seeing a lot of just drawing, eyes down, not even looking at the people walking by. Clearly, I know they're introverted and they're terrified to be there and they're trying to put themselves out there, but I think they have to try harder.
I think it is part of it, and I always credit Comic-Cons to I think I've gotten a lot better at interacting with people, right?
That's what I'm saying. That's the difference between you guys and everybody else not everybody, but a lot of the people that I saw.
Yeah, I caught a news crew at the show and threw them at Justin, and he was like, "I am ready," and he came out from behind his booth and he gave a 20-minute interview.
It's just a practice thing. It's like anything else, right? And so that comes back to we do what we do because we've been doing it for a decade plus.
And we like it. And that attitude, don't take for granted either. Your attitude of this is the best job in the world.
It's the best job in the world.
To that person who's not enjoying it, maybe they should be doing something else, right? Maybe there's some other aspect.
Is it the physical toll? Are they a vendor and they're not creating? Is that it?
No, they're creative.
I think they don't what I took from that is they don't like the interactions at the con. That's what I took.
It's socially draining.
It is draining.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very socially draining, and it can be. It's physically taxing. There are very long days, and you have to manage that aspect for sure. And then there's also the travel component. So Icon is, of course we love Icon because I sleep in my own bed at Icon, right?
He brings his bed to the con, everybody.
Yes,
that's right.
What? Which one of us passed out first? I'm getting too old for this shit.
We were in Montreal, right? And that was a pretty great show also. Very different constituent parts, like what spoke from my portfolio in the two conventions. Also
Completely different.
Completely different. But I brought both. Like, it's the same set. All I did was, because it's my local show and I sort of know better who will show up, who are regulars, who will say maybe get a ticket to Icon, even if they're not interested in anime, because that's the most convenient time to find me. So I'll sort of a little bit more, I'll prepare better for those people, let's say. But that's only maybe 20%. The rest is just the same thing that I brought to Montreal, which is this month's setup to the next show, and different stuff. It's all different stuff.
I wanted to, tell a little bit of a story to this, because I think this is important for people to hear that are doing kind of the stuff we're doing. I have a new Kingdom Hearts piece, and I put 50 to 65 hours into this piece. It's a big, long piece. It showcases every single world from the first game, characters all over the place, little keyblades hitting all over. Like, it was hugely intense piece. And I had this ready for the Calgary Expo, which is a very big show, usually a very, very good show for me. It was a very good show for me this year. But this Kingdom Hearts piece didn't perform very well at that show. And it was kind of like a little heartbroken, because I'd put a lot into this piece, and I wanted to light the booth on fire.
People didn't exactly spit on it, but close.
And I'm like, okay, that's like, maybe like it's an older video game. Maybe that just wasn't the crowd. Maybe like the anime crowd, like they're a bit more into the Kingdom Hearts. Like,
and
scene
sometimes
and
the things we love, other people don't love the same
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
That can be okay.
Yeah. So I went to Odafest and Anime North with it as well. And same thing, like very much like I sold like 3 the entire show. And again, like, it's my new piece. I put so much time into it. It's front and center. I'm presenting it as like as front forward as I can, and still nothing. And then this last weekend at Icon, it was my top seller by like a far margin. For whatever reason, it caught on, and I don't know, like, it's why. Right?
Where's
Why?
Odafest?
Sorry?
Where's Odafest?
That's Calgary as well. So
Okay.
I did an anime show in Calgary and the Comic-Con in Calgary.
Oh.
And both shows, this piece underperformed. And then just...
So really, both demographics that could have liked it,
Right?
in Calgary, were
And
like,
so I was
"Ugh,
like
get
slowly
outta here,
writing it
kid."
off in my mind as like, this piece was like a bit of a dud, and that's sad.
Yeah.
But now, suddenly it's not.
One thing, Winnipeg is weird. Well, it is. Like, we have this, like, a fan base for the Phantom of the Paradise for some reason. Like, there's a weird, like, like little groups of fandom here. So there could be like a Kingdom Hearts fan group here that people really like. Like, my kids love those games, so they would probably really like the
I think
print.
like university, but I think this has happened before as well. It's almost like you need to do 2 or 3 shows with a piece before like the audience catches up with it. It's weird.
But it's weird because it's different audiences, right?
Yeah, like I did a bunch of shows with it. Like it should have caught on by now, and then it finally did. And I bet you, it's going to start selling well from now on.
See how it does in San Diego.
No,
Yeah.
I've never been a psychologist, but I did play one in high school. So I taught psychology for a number of years, the psych AP program. And so that does not qualify me as a psychologist, but it did mean that I had to read all the literature. And one of the things that comes up as you're describing this is this notion of microexpressions and how we project our expectations onto things. Imagine, if you will, this is my theory about you. You're interested in people liking this, and your body language is demonstrating that you want people to want this thing.
Which makes them
Not
shy
want
away.
it, that's right. And then as soon as you're like, okay, well, it's whatever it is, and you just start treating it like everything else, you are not leading the crowd in any way. There are enormous numbers of interactions that occur non-verbally between human beings that we pretend to be unaware of, but they really influence our,
So my micro emotions sank that piece for the first little while.
Yeah,
and-
maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I am not a scientist, and I did not do a video study of your body language, but maybe that's why sometimes pieces take a little while to get going, is because we have to not treat them specially.
Well,
Are you
so-
like, sorry, do you go, I have a new Kingdom Hearts piece. Do you mention it to people? and
I do,
stuff?
yeah. Usually it's people ask what's new, and so
okay.
it'll kind of like always be like this, and this is brand new.
He flips it open in the portfolio and he rubs his hands on it.
This is my new piece. Isn't it beautiful? 65 hours it took me.
That's right. I wonder.
No pressure, but buy this, please. But the reason I bring this up is for people who aren't doing a ton of shows. If they're only doing 1 or 2 shows and something doesn't really land, like know that maybe that's just that show. Yeah. And if you were to do 2 or 3 others, then it like that book would pick up, that print would pick up, that pin would start to catch on. Like sometimes things just flub a little bit out of the gate and it takes a while for them to catch on. And this was just a very blatant example. I don't think I've had something go from like 0 to 60 so much. Like yeah, very huge difference in interaction. So
now, what's interesting about this is if you were just a pure evil capitalist, then this should dictate what you do next. But you didn't. Yeah, exactly. You just even made the cringe face. Instead, you just did whatever you felt like doing next.
Right. And we're back to robots.
So that it can remain the best job in the world.
Well, yeah.
Right. If you're, and it's called chasing artwork, not chasing the Benjamins, I guess. So.
I often compare our profession to comedians, where like a big show is like your special, or your book is like your special, right? Like, and then once you've kind of presented all your jokes, all our artwork, then we kind of go back and we start workshopping new jokes and coming up with new stories and doing whatever, and then we have like the big special. But it's that we have we kind of train in isolation. Mm-hmm. And then we'll have one big evening where it's like all the human interactions and all the presentations. There's no more work to be done at that point. Right?
All the A/B testing you could ever want is all happening all at once in your head in front of thousands of people walking by.
Yeah, and there's no way to change it, right? Yeah. Once you're at the show, the work is done. It's the tip of the iceberg. There's nothing left for you to do. It's just let's see how the audience likes the jokes, right?
Yeah.
And the travel aspect as well, right? Like Denver really likes my material.
Yeah.
But like Calgary doesn't. Toronto loves my jokes. Ottawa
and
doesn't.
that changes and it evolves and it's a strange thing. So then the same way, if we use that comedian idea, they workshop, they work with young comedians, they sit around and they watch young comedians do their shows and then sometimes give notes and sometimes don't. And if they're asked, they'll say what works and what doesn't. But there is also, what happens as the dinosaurs age out is they're out of, trend and fashion. And so are we on that tipping point now where we've grown as big as you can get before people will start putting all their attention into the next young gun so that they can grow? Because all the big booths that were around when we started, I don't see them around now. So did they age out? Did they quit? Did they?
Right.
It's hard to say. I think the pandemic probably had an effect on that, right? So a lot of people decided to stop doing what they're doing and do something else entirely.
This guy wants a scary ride. It's my birthday.
Happy birthday.
Is that right, eh? You guys are like the oldest.
I wouldn't say we're not the oldest. Like not if you go to a San Diego or a New
But in
York
a Winnipeg
City.
convention?
But in Canadian local, Canada, Vancouver, Toronto, whatever, people, it's weird.
Yeah.
My son commented at Icon because somebody came up and they were very excited about a piece and they were like very complimentary and I was trying to be as humble as that many compliments can allow. And then they, got some stuff and they left. And my youngest son looked at me. He's like, "Dad." I was like, "Yeah." He's like, "You have fans?" I was like, "I guess so." He's like, he just shook his head. He's like, "That's weird." And then he put on his Predator cosplay and he walked off.
That was a great costume.
Yeah.
That was so cool.
I think maybe what's keeping us in the game, and I don't know if I'm not paying attention to other people doing this, if they're doing this as much as us, but like I want to say 3 to 4 years, our booth is completely different than what it was before.
In fact, we were just having this talk at the last show. It's like, I think I'm ready to do a complete revamp of the booth, right? I'm right on the edge. This Winnipeg show will be the last show of that.
And you're mainly talking about like your back vinyls, like this
back
huge,
vinyls.
like 24 by 12 foot like wall of art.
Yeah.
You're not going to slowly replace it a bit by bit. You're going to do a complete overhaul.
Well, I'm going to refresh it. Is
You're gonna
how I think
refresh
about it. I'm going to refresh it.
Because you're, correct me if I'm wrong, you kind of have a logo now. You have your GMB Kamichuk logo.
do
That's
have
right.
a
I have the
logo.
tripod, and it's been working, and I like it. It's
I
the
do
first
too, but you
time-
need to have it more front and center,
And
I think,
more
more visible.
prominent.
That's something that, because you need your branding a little bit more out there. But yeah, I think that would be good. It would draw attention. It's familiar but new. People like
Yeah.
that. People
Yeah.
like a rebrand if it's done well.
Yeah. I will say this, though. It's important. If you're listening to us and you're like, oh, wow, it's nice for you guys to say you have fans and all that kind of wah, wah. Fame is a mask that eats the face. Right? Very important. Very important to
Yeah.
realize.
Well, here's what I hate. I hate when people say my fans. Whenever I hear people talk about my fans, I was listening to a podcast and this guy's, when I talk to my fans, they say this. I'm like, no, it's not your fans. They are fans of
Yeah.
you, of your work.
Yeah.
They don't belong to you,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
They're fans of other things.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so fans of your work, you can say, but you don't call them your fans. But everybody, I have fans too. Like everybody has fans if they put something creative or something different out into the world. I do TikToks. People watch my TikToks every day and they comment on it, and those people are fans. They're not my fans.
Yeah.
They're just fans of the stuff I put up.
The other thing to remember, and this is, I believe, John Berger. So, when we're talking about being young and seeing those big booths, glamour cannot exist unless envy is a social norm. And so you cannot, if people are admiring us, it's actually, it's not coming from a healthy place.
Yeah, it's because they want it.
It's because they want it, not because they necessarily admire it. And it's the same for us. When we were young, we're like, oh, we have this, but if only we had that,
Yeah.
right? And it's been pretty nice over the last decade of my career that I have done some work in theater and done some work in TV and done some work in independent films and done some work in graphic novels and so the switching of mediums has allowed me and reminded myself that, everyone's the same. Everyone is doing their best. It's never up to anybody when something hits, right? And as soon as something hits, and we have a few friends whose work have, really hit, sell 1 million copies level hit, they don't know why either, and they suddenly have the pressure of how to perform in the next time because their publishers and all the stakeholders of those big sales are now asking them for the next big
It's
thing.
not just on them
They want them to
anymore.
replicate
Yeah.
that success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Please
I have
do
no
that
idea
again.
how it worked the first time.
Yeah.
So, but don't you think every time Hollywood or big corporations try to do this, they fail?
Yeah.
It's always, this is why we get all these bad movies and this bad content out there. It's because they're trying to replicate these things,
Do
trying
the
to
same
capture
thing again.
capture lightning in a bottle again, and they just can't do it,
Mm-hmm.
or they're not coming at it from the right direction. You just have to come at it from a creative perspective every time instead of just trying to do the same thing again.
I mean, I hope so.
It's hard because it's always a balancing act of your artistic hat and your business hat, right? Because we are making our living off this, so
Yeah.
you kind of have to have on that business hat every once in a while, right? It can't just all be for
Damn
fun.
spreadsheets I have.
Do you have a minimum number of prints you have to sell to become profitable on something or anything like? Do you think about that kind of thing?
No.
Okay.
Not anymore. Okay, so that brings up.
Like what qualifies as a success for a print? I guess is my question, right?
And in what
Yeah.
framing device? So this is important because not everybody's indicator of success is the same, and I'll
Sure.
be really specific here. So if somebody just wants their work to be seen, a gallery show could be great for them.
Mm-hmm.
They might make no sales, but they get to show their work out, show years of their labor, and have an emotional response from people. Maybe they sell one painting, maybe they don't. Maybe they don't make any reproductions at all. To them, it's a success to have a gallery want to represent their work enough to have that shot.
And just have the people come and look at it and give reaction to it, right?
Exactly. That can
it.
be enough.
Yep.
If success is only measured by the dollar the effort is worth, then it's a fair argument to say that even though we're making our livings from this, these are not successful enterprises because we don't then immediately say, oh, if that one sold really strong, then I have to repeat. I don't usually chase the success of the last thing. In fact, all of my work, my body of work is like, oh, that science fiction one, it sold crazy. Oh, now I'm doing a horror one. Oh, now I'm doing a kids one.
You're not like, you do though. If something is a success, you'll usually like add to that series, and I do the same
laterally,
thing, right? Like, so every time I come up with a piece, I have an idea of how I could turn it into like a set of 2 or 3, right? And if people really like this, I'd like to do more in this series. But if people don't, then like just having this one is enough. But that's happened a couple times in like my last couple paintings where like I'd love to do like more of this fun exploded computer with the plants, kind of like abstract style, and people loved it. So okay, well maybe I'll do like a Game Boy and like an old camera and an old radio, like all abstract exploding with plants. So
again, if you're just measuring labor in, then what you can do is you can say, what does it cost me? What does it actually cost me per hour to labor on this? And then when I take it out to market, does it give me 2 times that?
And the big indicator for me, like it's more so, does my new stuff, is it grabbing people's attention more so than my older stuff, right? Like the new stuff should always be kind of the highlight, what people talk about, what people react to, should be outselling the stuff I've done in the past. And that's usually my indicator for success with my new pieces. They should be selling better than my older pieces that people have seen already.
You've refined the work better.
Yeah, I've gotten better.
Welcome to space, Frank. You've waited a while for this.
Yeah. Only 40 years.
Also, time in is not an indicator of whether a piece is, whether any artistic expression is of value.
Yeah.
Or we wouldn't have famous works of art.
Or talk about like a book versus a print that you did in a lunch hour.
That's right. So those things are not, it's very difficult. So when you say, how do you know if it's successful? If you have a body of work, you have to kind of take it in the aggregate, right? Like, am I able to do this again next month and the month after? Well, then you're doing the right thing. And if you aren't, then maybe it isn't. But that's only financially.
We're in this great position where we have some pieces that can carry our experiments, right? Like we have a broad enough portfolio that does well enough that we can take chances doing all these random things, right? Like when you're talking about like movies and putting millions of dollars and all these people's like jobs on the line, they don't want to take risks, right? They want to just try to do the sure thing, and a lot of times that backfires and we get like mediocre stuff. But we're in this great position where we have the ability to experiment and play, and like so many of the pieces that I put out in the last couple of months, like are completely random, have nothing to do with anything I've done before. Like we're just trying stuff out, and some of them land, and some of them sold 2 copies at 8 shows and are probably going to disappear soon, right? Like,
so when you're talking about success again, I'm trying to answer your question. I don't mean to be evasive, but there's just so many ways in which you could do it. I consider success to be if I can spend 30, give or take, about 35% of my time doing R&D, experimenting and trying stuff I haven't tried before, and just there's enough of a margin that I can put what I want rather than what the market is asking for. Because people will ask for things and then not take them.
True. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so you don't want to be at the behest of the market requests, or you will always be behind the trend. If you're only getting what people ask for, they're only asking for what they've heard of. If they've heard of it, it's already too late.
I heard somebody say recently that people really don't know what they want, and I think that's true. They really don't until they see it. And so, but what the answer I came up with while listening to you guys talk is that the way you determine whether or not a print is successful is if you feel good about it.
Yeah.
If you feel good about it, you're happy with the work. It's getting attention. If it doesn't, if it's like that one that's going to disappear, then you don't feel good about it, and it is not successful.
But it was still worth the time, right? It wasn't a waste of time. So I learned something while building that piece that's going to make the next piece better, is the way I always look at it, right? Like it was a stepping stone. It was an important one. Even though like people don't want to hang it on their wall. Like maybe they like it, but it doesn't belong on their wall. And that's,
But you're never going to know until you make it.
Right. and even now, like we've been doing this however long, we still have no goddamn idea what's going to sell and what isn't.
Yeah. Pre-pandemic, I did a book as part of the theater project Red Earth.
Right.
And because of the structure, the business structure of that project, we were going to print a certain number of them to give away at the end.
I have mine. Yep.
You have one. but then in order to make the cost per unit of those reasonable for the production, I said, okay, well, I'm going to kick in for X number of them that I'll take to shows.
This is a very experimentally laid out book. Like
Yeah.
you don't see stuff like it's a tiny little novella with like all these diagrams and weird stuff going on in it.
It's a little epistolary novel that is essentially on its own. It reads like a murder mystery where clearly the characters never know who did it, but the reader can figure it out by reading their letters.
And I can't even imagine reading it without having watched the play. Because I watched the play and I know what's going on and I
Right.
saw everything. So,
Well,
and I read it right after I saw the play. Anyway.
And now officially more people I think have got the book from shows than have seen the play.
Right.
Right? I've crossed that threshold now, and it keeps picking up the interest in.
I saw somebody buying it at Icon when I walked up to your booth. Yes, that's right.
At an anime show,
Yeah.
right?
People are really interested in that book to the point where I realized, and this speaks to experimentation. So I took off my Comic-Con hat, I took off my author hat, and I just put on my collaborator hat, and I said, okay, Andrea, you and I, we're going to go and try this weird experimental theater project. Amazing. We're going to invent some technology. We're going to have a good time. We're going to do it. We thought it worked, and that was enough. But then there was this sort of, for lack of a better word, leftover stock, and I said, well, I'm going to have it match. I'm going to make my next 2 books, the 2 automatic age books, match it in format so that at least on the table, they'll seem like they're connected as a set, even though they aren't. It's just visually, you're like, oh, novels. Oh, this must be another novel. And that's when I say, no, it isn't. It's this other thing. Mm-hmm. And when people open it, I've been very shocked by the reaction. They go, oh, this is what I've been looking for. This is what I want. And so I took that information to another publisher, and I have a project with Ariel Gordon, and it sort of fits that same vibe. And when I took it to the publisher, they said, "Oh yeah, this is great."
And it never would have started with that, right? Like you had to experiment and play to find, like figure it out, and now you can take it to that like council of marketing.
But the publisher knew that format would do well.
No, I had no idea. It was me bringing my essentially market research.
Okay,
Like, here's the numbers I've sold of this thing. And they're like, wow, I don't know if that would, because their first thought when I described the project was, I don't know if that would work. And I'd say, well, here's one just like it. I mean, not just like it, but same flavor. Kind of the way that not all cowboy movies are the same, but they're all cowboy movies. It's like that kind of format. And then when I explained the numbers, they were like, wait, really? Like, okay, well then let's get into business together on this project because you can take this number of them to shows and we can take this number of them to bookstores and it's worth the experiment because we won't lose our shirts. Mm-hmm. If we hadn't been in that 35% of the year in R&D mode, we never would have discovered that.
Yeah.
Right? And I say R&D, but really it's just like make stuff that makes your heart
playing in the
good,
sandbox.
Right?
That's interesting.
Montreal was great. I had good travel companions. It was a good show.
Because you weren't there last year.
No, I was. No, Montreal I wasn't.
Montreal, we both missed Montreal last year because Icon and Montreal were on the same weekend last year. So neither of us did Montreal
And I was confusing Montreal and Quebec City, which I did do last year. Yes.
All French people are the same, huh?
No.
Hey.
No. All Anglophones make the same kinds of mistakes about French people.
It's good save. Good save. Yeah.
Right? I think that's I don't know. I'm trapped here now. I don't have enough media training to get myself out of this.
Going back to like how it's a little bit exhausting though, like it's exhausting traveling, setting up at a show, and then all day, like you were there by yourself. So you're on all day, you're selling all day, and then you're in this like beautiful city, and so there's this like need to like, okay, we have to like go out and experience the city now after an exhausting day.
How dare I not go out into the city?
You got to stay a day extra.
I knew I was going to be in Montreal. I wanted to be in Montreal. Flights were weird. It was like an extra $500 to go the day earlier. So it's like I made $500 by going a day later. And so I just spent the day as a walking tour, drawing and writing in downtown Montreal, all over. I probably
R&D?
Yeah, basically R&D. I basically put 30 kilometers on my shoes and just went all over downtown Montreal. It was awesome.
That's so awesome.
Yeah.
Sounds like fun.
Yeah. I even had a nap in a park.
What?
Whoa.
Yeah.
Cops
didn't
didn't come.
Didn't get kicked out. That's
Sir,
surprising.
you need to move on.
Interesting you say that, because it was right in, what is that, Victoria Park or whatever. So somebody had put a big pro-Gaza demonstration. They had painted over Queen Victoria, and they had done all this stuff. And so there was a fair amount of what the police would call ne'er-do-wells. And I was like, this is where I want to hang around.
Yeah, for sure.
And so that is what I did. And then I was like, oh, it's so beautiful. And everyone was sort of like, just like, it was kind of languid. And so, yeah, I just took a little nap. It was awesome. Yeah. And
Cool.
Nobody stabbed me or took my stuff while I slept. So if you ever see a sleeping, weird-looking artist in downtown Canadian City, it might be me, so be nice. All right. This has been Super Pulp Science, and we have talked about how genre gets made, specifically about how you should just experiment with your own work. Don't take one failure as the reason to quit. Gather a few dozen of those before you decide to switch up, I'd say, is the wisdom that we have to share with you today. And if we are dismissive of you at a future show, it's not because we think we're a big deal. It's because we've been working for 12 hours and we haven't had our coffee yet. I think that's a real important point. Join the fight. Make comics.